Yes, yes, John. Yeah. Can I start? Yeah, Pritam, I need your help to just screen the note. Yeah. Yeah. Uh, um, Thank you, John, for these few words, which I'm going to share with the group. I'm happy that today we have gathered to listen to co-chair system of Rojava, organized by Provisional Bureaucracy Parliament of India, that is PNPI, and Civil Diplomacy Center of Northeast Syria. Pritam? Pritam? Yeah. Friends, I would like to thank you all joining this special historic session on co-chair system of governance from below, practiced in Rojava, northeast of Syria. The session, as I said, is jointly organized by two organizations and movement. A few words about PNPI. PNPI, the Provisional Bureaucracy Parliament of India, was formed 2 years ago with the principles of bureaucracy and sociocracy, with the purpose of deepening our understanding of inclusive governance from below and make democracy more relevant, sustainable, and substantial experience for all, especially from below. And at the moment, we have provisional state parliaments in 9 states of India promoting democracy and sociocracy. Right now, all the members of PNPI, we are in the process of a 12-day intensive advanced training on bureaucracy and sociocracy. And today is our 9th day. During the schedule formation, we thought one of the subjects we should handle on is the co-chair system of governance from below practiced in Rojava, especially from the perspective of gender equality, which is very, very important in the present context of the world. Is Pritam? 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 Yeah. After the training, we will be involved in the formation of actual parliaments among children, youth, and adults. We hope to integrate the concept of co-chair system in our bureaucracy parliaments. We hope so. When we requested Miss Nushan and her team from CDC, they agreed to be the resource team for today's session. As a result, we are all here today. And Mr. John Bach, the co-author of the book, We the People Consenting to Deeper Democracy, agreed to moderate this session. Thank you, John, and thank you, Nushan. We shall hear a few words from the founder and the patron of bureaucracy and the author of Hello Bureaucracy, Father Edwin. And we will listen from the main speaker of the day, Ms. Bêrîvan Younis, on the co-chair system of Rojava. followed by interaction with the participants. And the session will end with a vote of thanks by Mr. Arul Sahayam, the Prime Minister of PNPI. All the best to all the presenters. Thank you. Over to John. Preeta.
Okay, yeah. Then 1 minute. So very happy to be in this meeting. Especially happy that we are with Rojava people. And we are immensely grateful to the people of Rojava for their pioneering experience. Not only we, I think the whole world should be grateful. Why? Because you see, everybody is looking for a good governance system. And we have been trying with various things, also with democracy. And we have been getting dissatisfied because of the various flaws in the way democracy is practiced, the way it divides people, the way, people, though they say people are really governing, people don't have a voice actually, except a token voice during the elections. And people are taken for a ride, and we see corruption growing. And also because of this trend towards this yearning to get the majority votes leads to various types of divisive tendencies. All these things we have been observing. And we have been dreaming of a new system. And we have been proposing a new system too, in the form of what we call neighborocracy. A system of government where the governance is from below, where everybody can have an ongoing say in the way the government is run. Okay, we propose the system in terms of neighborhood parliaments and their multi-tier federations governed by the principles of smallness of the forums at various levels, numerical uniformity, recall scope, subsidiarity, convergence, then sociocratic ways of making decisions, consent-based decisions, sociocratic elections, etc. Well, we propose that, and every time people ask, oh, this is so difficult to realize, all a dream, it's too ideal. Then we have to tell them somewhere it is being practiced. So initially I was resorting to the experiment in Kerala. Kerala organized nearly 300,000 neighborhood units and federated them at 3 levels. This is possible, we are saying. But still, it was not going to the whole process of governance. It stops at certain levels. And people are not actually having a total participation in the governance process. Then we heard about this Rojava. We said, oh, here it is something that is really along the lines we are dreaming for. And then on, every time we conduct the course, we are speaking about Rojava. And it's a very telling example. a very telling, successful story which convinces people. So today we are happy that people from Rojava are here to share their experience with us. It's a very happy occasion. I wish that you all enjoy it very much. You will really enjoy it. So happy hour. Thank you. Thank you.
Hello to all friends, to everyone who's joined today. Today, we are very happy that we've seen these friends that we've worked together with and formed contacts with every day. We see one another every few days. It's been a long time we didn't see each other, so we're very happy to see you today, to see Jumbak, to see Father Edwin, and Jose and all the other friends. Truly, you're very welcome, and to all the other participants, we're very happy that there is an opportunity like this today. And in the name of the Civil Diplomacy Center, with the assistance of the Neighbourhood Bureaucracy Council in India, we're able to present this seminar. We saw that there are many shared things between our two systems, between the bureaucracy system and the system of democratic confederalism that is used in Rojava, also known as North and East Syria. The points where we come together know no borders. And that means that today, in an active way, we can sit and speak together. So first of all, I would like to welcome all the participants, and I'd like to welcome friend Bêrîvan Younis. She is a member of the Women's Movement Council in Rojava, which is known as Kongra Star, and in the Educational Committee. She also participates. At the same time, she's a member of the Democratic Union Party, or PYD, in Rojava. This party played the leading role in establishing the co-chair system, and the Kongra Star women's movement also struggled very hard in order to establish the co-chair system, with the representation of women in all councils, in the communes, in the bureaus of the autonomous administration, there is always women's representation, thanks to their efforts. And so we want to welcome Bêrîvan. And with a couple of sentences, we just want to explain who are the Civil Diplomacy Center. We are like a platform which unites all the civil society organizations in North and East Syria and creates diplomatic connections between North and East Syria, aka Rojava, and the outside. We are like a bridge to link people together, and we proceed in this way. We believe that diplomacy and connections, democratic connections between peoples, between forces, the forces from below, are stronger than the connections between states and repressive forces. We follow this line and we work in this way. As such, once again, in the name of the Civil Diplomacy Center of North and East Syria, we would like to welcome all the participants. And if friend Bêrîvan is ready, we can start our seminar. Good evening. I hope everybody is well. I feel a strange feeling when a gathering like this takes place from all the sides of the world in order to implement democracy. For a communal life, to advance the cause of a communal life. It's something to be happy about, it's something to be proud about. What does this mean? It means that a human in the 21st century can think, how can we break the class system that was forced on people by states, and that we can only know one another in terms of our own national borders. Today, I see that this is a different sort of gathering. It inspires different sorts of emotions. It's the first time that I've seen such a gathering. It's something to be very happy of. It's an opportunity that in the future, we'll be able to find different ways to come together and share our experiences with one another. This has a very particular meaning to the gathering of people. At the same time, I want to begin by thanking the NE Bureaucracy Council for their wonderful idea. At the beginning, they said that such a large number of people have participated in such a project in geography like India, which is so wide, and that these people were able to organize themselves to such a high level. Including young people and men and women working together according to their own will and trying to play a positive role to share together and continue living together. At the same time, I would like to thank the Civil Diplomacy Center, because they created this opportunity by forging connections. I would now like to speak as a woman from NE Syria, as a representative of our women's organization, Kongra Star, in Rojava. We can share our experiences connected to the co-chair system. We can share this with you so that this experience can be informative to you in the future, so that people who would like to create such a democratic system and implement it among themselves can treat it as an experience or experiment. The first point in this discussion, in order to explain the co-chair system in NE Syria, is to speak about the dialectic that brought this system about. And connected to this, the contradictions which occurred in terms of gender, in terms of the sexist attitudes that people had, the difficulties women faced, which they face in all the world, and particularly in the Middle East, and also the global contradictions and challenges faced. Thirdly, and perhaps the principal point, will be the co-chair system itself. What's its historical basis? What are its principles? What are its goals? At first, we're going to speak about this dialectic basis. As everyone knows, in the universe, there are two sides, male and female. Light and dark, war and peace. How can these sides be brought together to complete one another in order to create a universe out of nothing? And from this dialectic, something new emerges, a new meaning, and it continues. And we rely on this basis This is the basis of nature, of animals, and also of humanity itself. And in humans too, there are two sides, two genders. But until today, there is a contradiction with in the mentality of the people, and this creates problems, which leads to social problems due to the clash between these two sides of the dialectic. And so women came to feel that they couldn't operate on the same level as men. And so it was necessary for women to enter into a debate and consider whether they could play a role the same way as men or share a life with men. As such, we saw in our society, given these sexist attitudes and the contradictions that were created in society by these biological differences, sexist attitudes have achieved such a level that there is a genuine, not only inequality, but a class system which separates men and women. This is a class system which has seen men in the position of repression and women in the position of slaves. And with the existence of the nation state, the system was entrenched. And as such, the natural society in which men and women lived together was eradicated. And the ethics of such a society where people live together, this ethics has itself been eradicated. And the state system has placed its hand across all of society at the same time. Women that played a leading role in this original natural society, which has since been supplanted. They could have led society. They brought children to this society. They enabled this society to advance, but coming forward to today, all of these women's perspectives, all of these originary women's experiences have been lost under male repression. And this class system of sexist exploitation has been implemented instead. Women were originally known as goddesses, but when we look to today, women's essence, women's existence has been lost and men are dominant. And men and women's ability to complement one another has been lost. As such, when we speak about these two sides, it's important that we look to the realities of nature and the realities of history. For if we turn also to the historical side, there is much evidence, archaeological evidence from archaeological digs, and particularly even here in North and East Syria, which is known as the Fertile Crescent, which is known as Mesopotamia, which is known as the cradle of civilization. We can look back 12,000 years ago, 12,000 years before Christ, at places like Urfa. All of this is known. Here in Rojava itself, there is an archaeological site called Tal Khalaf, which dates to 6,000 years before Christ. And when we look at this site, we find many statues of women, which demonstrates the role of women at this time, how high it was in society, in these ancient societies. And so if we go back to history, if we go back to archaeology, we can understand that there is a mentality which sought to eradicate women's existence. I have some images which I may be able to share to illustrate this point. I'm not sure how to share them. I will try to share these photographs with you. I have some images of this archaeological site, Tel Khalaf, which is in Serikani, a small town in the territory of present-day Rojava. And in Tel Khalaf, this town, we can find these statues of women. Okay, as you can now see before your eyes, these are statues which show men and women together on the same level. They're known as the king and the queen, or the female king. And at this time, these people could together lead society. And indeed, there are many such statues at the Tel Khalaf archaeological site. These statues were taken from Tel Khalaf in Rojava. They're now in a museum in Germany. At the same time, in this location, there's another image which I would like to share. But once again, in the regions of North and East Syria or Rojava, there is a site called Orkesh, which is in a region now known as Göremozan. And women's role in this society can also be demonstrated. How their role was at this time. The role which they played, it's this image here, which I'm showing you now. As we see, women are sitting facing one another. They're caring for the animals, they're caring for the children. There is light, sunlight behind them, and they have next to them many tools. Musical tools, tools for labor, tools for agriculture. And as we can see, women played a leading role in these civilizations at this time. As such, we can say we have a basis to rely on in this project, which dates back thousands of years and which demonstrates the role of women, the equal role of women, the shared role of women. Men and women shared tasks in society and led society together. And yet today, following the Industrial Revolution and the emergence of capitalism and the strength of nation states, has arrived at such a level that the role of women has been lost. But once again, we want to say this. There are results of such mentalities. There is an effect which is caused by this patriarchal mentality. And men too, though they've taken this leadership role in society, they are also the victims of this oppressive system. This equality within society has been lost, and the society built on these essential categories has instead been established. When we say that our society has lost its ethics and lost its social morals, its social values, this left our society open to colonialism and to occupation. It led to war in our region. And the result of this war and these social contradictions has created a grave impact up to the world wars, which started in Europe and including the contemporary conflict in the Middle East. And nowadays, nation states and all those with the repressive statist mentality, which was established on the basis of this categorization, which we can also understand as globalization, has emerged as racism, as religionism, as sexism. And when war occurs, society is left without protection for women or for children. And the women and children become the victims of war. Society descends into chaos. This chaos is created. And there needs a lot of time until this society can rejuvenate itself and create a new equal system. We have come up against this and met this challenge as the people of North and East Syria. When the Syrian revolution started, the people of North and East Syria wanted to organize themselves without a state. They wanted to know how they could live without a state and create their own system. So we started fighting against the Syrian regime, and we also faced attacks from ISIS. Day-night attacks from ISIS started, and there was much torture, much violence, which was particularly faced by women, barbaric violence faced by women. Many brutal things were experienced. Particularly, of course, in Shengol, the site of the Yazidi genocide, and in cities like Deir ez-Zor, Raqqa, Tabqa, cities which were formerly under ISIS but are now on part of the system of North and East Syria. Yazidi women were kidnapped, violated, forced to change their religion. They were forcibly married, they were raped as such. These brutal events which took place saw all the masks which this repressive system created for itself dropped away, and we saw its brutal reality. And there was no protection left from states. And so when we want to learn lessons from the Rojava Revolution, we must understand that self-protections not only come from the armies which states create. We didn't see any place for such an army. Rather, Rojava's revolution required the establishment of self-defense as a fundamental basis. A revolution which will be conducted on the basis of women's leadership or vanguard leadership. We saw a need to ask, how could women play a leading role, a major role? And so they could re-establish their existence, which has been lost across the past thousands of years, and return to this essence of women that has been eradicated throughout the years by politics, which had driven women far from their essence, which had forced women to adopt a capitalistic form, a manner of life, which was established by nation states, how we could encourage women to move away from this, how we could change their mindset and get women to play their own role. And we wanted to establish this within our system by establishing women's groups, women organizations to organize women from the bottom, to rejuvenate women's willpower. And as such, this is why we saw the need to establish the co-chair system. So if we speak about the co-chair system, at first, we're going to speak about society in the Middle East in general. How did women live, and how did society in general operate? Women always lived under a state of repression in society. For centuries, women had lived in these conditions. And the hegemonic global states had extracted profits from the region for centuries, which resulted in the division of the Middle East into nation states. And this in turn further contributed to the loss of the region's original culture, its original existence, its original essence. And so until we were able to establish our system, our co-chair system, we saw the need first to return to history, to return to our essence as the women of North and East Syria, to read about it, to research about it. And on this basis, we asked ourselves how we could end the pain that we were suffering and establish a new form of life based on equality, a peaceful life, and establish such a form of life together. Not only with ourselves as Kurdish women, but also with Arab people, Muslim people, with the local Christian and Yazidi minorities. And so together, we could uncover these reasons for sexism and patriarchal mentality among ourselves, and instead establish a new communal life. As such, it's necessary to look back a little into the history of the co-chair system. Which had particularly previously been used in Latin America and put into place there due to the role of Simón Bolívar, who called for the implementation of a system of co-chair system or shared leadership. And we can also look to the Green Party in Germany, which was one of the first to implement such a system. And we saw the benefits of these prior examples. But we also noted that the extent to which they'd been implemented, the extent to which they had become a part of actual politics, and the problems they faced, how could they be resolved? And as such, we can say that it was the first time in Kurdistan, in northern or Turkish Kurdistan, and at the same time in Rojava and North and East Syria, that this system was implemented. A system which is established on the basis of one woman and one man working together in a council, in a neighborhood, or in an organization, in a civil society organization, and they can take the leadership role together. So when we say co-chair system, it's not just this one man and one woman at the level of the leadership. At the same time, there will be a small council or a representative body at the level of the basic level of the commune. Like a committee, we can say there are different names according to the different regions within this autonomous system, but regardless, these small councils take decisions together. And so we have the system which we have today in North and East Syria. It's both vertical and horizontal. It starts at the bottom from the communes, the building blocks of the political system in North and East Syria. Several neighborhoods come together, and they have spokespeople, and the spokespeople of these various committees come together to form the representation for this local commune, and whatever their issues or needs are, they take responsibility for one another. And this is like the basic cell on which society relies. They educate one another, they implement economic projects, they provide basic services. And when we come up to the next level up in the system, to the local district, and then in turn to the canton, we have the same system. This is recorded in the social contract of North and East Syria, which is based on 7 cantons or regions, including 4 which were liberated from ISIS. These are the cantons of Jazeera, Euphrates, which includes Kobani and Gedespi. Maybe you don't know the names, and there may be these names are strange for you. There is also the Tabqa region, the Raqqa region, the Deir ez-Zor region. And there is also the Shepa and Afrin canton. This is another region of ours, but unfortunately this region has been occupied by Turkey, but a small portion still remains outside Turkish control, and people there live in refugee camps again according to this system. And likewise, 2 of these cities, Sarakani and Tel Abyad, also are currently occupied by Turkey. This has caused great pain to us in 2019 following the Turkish invasion, but regardless, this co-chair system continues across these 7 cantons or districts. And each region has its People's Council, in which these representatives come together and they decide upon laws. And they also have an executive council, which can work day by day for day by day tasks, but this also is run, as everything else, on the co-chair system. And so we can see how the system begins from the basic cells of society up until the top level, including all portions of society, which are all organized on this basis, including the co-chair system. In North and East Syria, the co-chair system is not only present in these formal political bodies of the autonomous administration, but it's also present, for example, within our political parties. So in my party, PYD, the system is present. Which established such a system in its Congress of 2016. And this is an idea which, of course, comes from our Kurdish leader, Abdullah Öcalan. We wanted to take this idea from Öcalan so we could establish this system in our regions, this system which is known as democratic confederalism. But not only PYD, also other parties such as our local Green Party, it also uses the co-chair system. The Peace Party, another party, also uses the co-chair system. Syria's Future Party also uses this system. And so we can say there are a number of parties which have now accepted this co-chair system among themselves, quite a large number, in fact. No matter how much I speak, it's not, of course, not the same as if you enter into this system yourself. So perhaps I can share my own experience. Some years ago, in 2007, 2016 until 2019, was the co-chair myself of the archaeology bureau in Rojava as a Kurdish woman, and I worked together with an Arab man. Together, we implemented this co-chair system throughout those 3 years, but there were difficulties. As we said, these are the problems that are the result of thousands of years of this repressive mentality which has been forced upon us. This man, he really struggled to accept that there was a woman working with him. Belka, we all know. Things that may be said, but once you begin to put them into practical implementation, it's hard. And so, yeah, we must keep trying to return to this ethical way of life, which we can approach through the system of democratic confederalism and also through the co-chair system. As women, it's also difficult because maybe we're studying, maybe we have housework that we have to do. Maybe we also have political responsibilities, economic responsibilities. And the question is, how can we come face to face with these difficulties as women? These are all difficulties which the women of North and East Syria have faced, both the lack of acceptance on behalf of society, and resistance on behalf of men who would not accept. They had a kind of an occupied mentality, we can say, as regards women. Because as everyone knows, women were long seen as belonging to the domestic sphere and men to the public sphere. And yet we wanted to create a different form of society in which we all work together. There is a spirit, an energy which we could derive from the earth, which gave us the energy to continue our struggle until today. And so women have continued their struggle until today. And create a joint life. There were certainly difficulties at the start, but step by step, we find ourselves resolving these challenges. What were those initial problems? Certainly the first one was this lack of acceptance on behalf of men. For example, people said, how can two people make a decision? Everyone learned under this repressive system that there must be one person making decisions and no one can oppose their decisions. And of course, it can also be that women became the repressors by replicating this repressive mentality in their own actions. Rather, we sought to come together to share views, and when we consider the benefits which can accrue to all of us, it's preferable, we learned through our experiences. But it takes a long time to become liberated from these mentalities and to accept such a system. It needs a lot of education. And our educational academies we see as the fundamental legs or basis of this system. This system relies on the philosophy known as the democratic nation, established by Abdullah Öcalan. And we had to introduce this to people that we didn't know before. People that were from, for example, Armenian, the Syriac and other local Christian minorities, the Yazidi minorities. We also wanted to see them as nations in their own right. But previously in the Syrian system, there was no role for them. And there was no way for them to, in a relaxed and free way, to practice their different faiths. But today, we've replaced this with a new system where once again, these religious and ethnic minorities take up their place within the system of democratic confederalism and are able to lay claim to their own rights and play a role in ethics, in politics. So we could say the co-chair system relies on the end of a dark existence and rather the establishment of a new free communal life. As we know today, North and East Syria continues to face attacks from Turkey. But this communality that we have created among ourselves enables us to stand against this state system. And so we can say that, in a sense, the whole system of the autonomous administration relies on the co-chair system. And so recently, elections took place. 103 municipal seats were elected as democratic representatives among the people. This was a great victory. In 2016, once again, then we began to establish our system of communes. So these are historic elections which took place and resulted in the election of people into this co-chair system. And so in 2016, this began in the commune system at the level of the cantons and the regions. Until we could establish this system, it required a great struggle, a great resistance, particularly among women, but also among men. And we found that we had to work together to liberate ourselves from this repressive mentality. And I have some other pictures to show you this co-chair system that we would like to share. Both from the local commune level and also on the overall level of the council or parliament of North and East Syria. And I can tell you where they are. Okay. This is the Council of the Autonomous Administration, the overall Council of the Autonomous Administration of North and East Syria. The Executive Council. Which conducts the practical day-to-day affairs in North and East Syria. As you can see, there are the two friends or comrades sitting at the front, and these are the overall co-chairs. This is friend who's newly been elected. Due to the continued attacks which our region faces, it's been difficult for us sometimes to hold elections as often as we would like. And then the people you can see around there from all parts of our society, the Arabs, the Christians, the Yazidis, working together. This collaboration becomes a response to these attacks that we face and which seek to divide the region. And here we see, on the other hand, from the sort of very local level, a commune, the basis of the democratic system in North and East Syria. And this is where people come together to discuss their daily problems, the local issues they face. We face many problems in our life here in Syria, as you can imagine, due to particularly recent Turkish attacks on our energy infrastructure, which mean there is no electricity left. Our petrol infrastructure has been destroyed. They've burned our wheat, bombed our places where we store wheat. And so the people of this commune have come together to discuss their problems and see if they can find a joint solution. This is the Syrian Democratic Council, the Council of Democratic Peoples. And here, this is representatives of the different peoples, which are discussing issues that affect the people in particular. In every regional canton as well, people have their representatives which take up their place in this representative council. And again, they come together to discuss this people's problems and try and seek solutions to them and take decisions on that result. Here as well. These are people from a given neighborhood. You can see they've come together, they're receiving political education. This education program is about how to change the pre-existing mentality, to create a democratic system, to remove the influence of the nation-state system on people's mentality. And establish a mentality which is unlinked or decoupled from the system, the repressive system which exists, and this system based on strict categories, which we discussed before, strict and separated categories. And here, in the streets just out the front of someone's house, it's a gathering of women. Because we should also say that as well as our co-chair system, we have an autonomous women's system operating in parallel, in which women organize themselves, they educate themselves, and with their own representatives, they then come and take their place in the overall system. We spoke of these images before. I wanted to share these images with you. I hope these could create a bit of a picture in your minds as to how does our system work, what does it look like, the difficulties that it experiences. And there's one final subject I would like to share with you. A subject that we're now face-to-face with, that we're struggling with at the moment. It's something which makes us very happy. It's this: in North and East Syria, we have new elections coming up for the co-chairs of the local municipalities. This election will take place on the 3rd of July. For every in every local municipality, a man and a woman will be elected, and along with this man and woman as the co-chairs, there will be a council elected, a local council. Within this council, there will be a particular women's council, and also a women's representative who will be an assistant or advisor to the male and female leaders. So there will be, as it were, a committee of 3 with 2 women and 1 man. Why? So we can prevent mistakes from emerging. So, for example, the man and woman might not be able to agree together. But that's why there will be the additional woman elected by a committee of women in order to provide an alternative or opposing perspective. So there is another point connected to these elections some days ago. As women in North and East Syria, as Kongra Star, this women's union, as the Zenubia Women's Union, as the Women's Council of North and East Syria, and all the other women's organizations. we had our kind of our internal elections, and then we elected the women's representatives of all these autonomous women's bodies. Maybe it was the first time that such a thing was conducted anywhere, and we prepared women's representatives, and we shared women's perspectives with them and women's will with them. And then, what does this mean? It means all the women here will be able to vote twice. So once they'll be able to vote, or they have voted within this all-female system, and once they will also be able to vote in this broader co-chair system. We, as people who were without state for thousands of years, and who did not have our rights within those states where we lived, now we've advanced our own system, which we see and we conduct ourselves. We are amid the practical affairs of this ourselves, and certainly there will be shortcomings and failures within that process, but we want to correct these. We want to create a new system of democratic confederalism. So I wanted to share these points and these experiences, these difficulties with you. I was very happy to see you all. Yeah, even though there is this electronic technology between us and a long distance between us, we can nonetheless share our thoughts. And this means that we can nonetheless come together, we can understand one another, we can create a system outside the oppressive system. We can build this system up. And as such, sharing together is essential. Because by coming together, we can create new opportunities, new ideas together. And so I thank you very much for listening to me so much. Maybe I took your time, maybe I annoyed you.
Thank you very much. Much applause and thank you to you, Ms. Bêrîvan Younis. At this point, I would like to open the floor to questions. Karen, I saw already there was a question that you had. If you would put your questions in the chat, we will try to get as many as we can over the next 15 minutes or so. Karen, you had a question about the organization that was being referred to. Do you want to explain that question a little bit more? And Pritam, if you could unmute him, that would be great. Let's see here.
The floor is open, John. They can unmute themselves and
Karen, I see your name listed. Are you with us? Okay, he's still muted and not responding. Is there another question?
There was one question that was from Miss Geeta, which said, how old is this civilization? And Mr. Carney Ross asked, what is the name of this civilization?
So that question is for you, Bêrîvan.
Urkesh has been excavated, but not in all sites. But those things which have been excavated and seen, the Huri people lived there, the Hurrian people, Huri culture. This
Could we
was
have
3,200 years before Christ.
Could we have that spelled in the chat, if that's possible? Brilliant.
And
Thank you.
on the Tal Khalif site. His name was changed repeatedly over time. It's called Khuzan. The Tal Khalif civilization, it's simply called. And which spread from this Tal Khalif site throughout the Taurus and Zagros mountains.
Thank you. Are there more questions?
Yeah.
I see Sunita has one, and also Ian. Sunita, you asked, are these women educated?
So we have an educational system in northern East Syria, especially for women, as well as women have a place in our overall, there's an overall education system in society, but we also have a special system for women because we saw the original system is a male system. And within the women's educational system, there's a special curriculum. And within our educational system, we try to adopt a different mentality to that which is adopted in the nation states. Because in the overall global system, men are always on top and women on bottom. And so we have a system which we call genealogy, or the women's science, which we try to follow in order to create the co-chair system. And so we go around, we give education seminars and programs in the communes, in local neighborhoods. And we discuss what is this repressive mentality? What is a man? What is a woman? What is a joint life together? And we discuss with them, what is this co-chair system? What is community? Or we discuss history. We discuss the history of Kurdistan. We discuss the history of northern East Syria. We discuss the history of women and of men. All these things are discussed. And on this basis, and so until today, education is a fundamental basis of our system. Without education, a system like ours could never be successful. It couldn't protect itself. It couldn't expand itself.
Thank you. As a question from Raviji, it says, do women still hold ammunition fighting against the terrorists?
There's a truth today, as everyone can see before their eyes. There are attacks from Turkey against the region. They want to cross and occupy the land of northern East Syria. As I've said until today, there are regions which remain under their occupation. At the same time, there is ISIS, who in 2019 were eradicated as a territorial force in the village of Bakhoz by the women's militia YPG. But nonetheless, until today, we have become a global capital. We have been requesting an international court where these international ISIS members that we've captured can be put on trial, but this has not been conducted by the international community, and so we are still face to face with this issue. We are still faced with the danger of ISIS every day. We have a whole camp where there are tens of thousands of ISIS-linked women and children, where our autonomous administration cares for them, looks after them, and we are waiting for an international court or some kind of justice mechanism to deal with this crisis, but we haven't had any such support from outside. At the same time, in North and East Syria, we have many imprisoned ISIS fighters themselves. Their hands are covered in the blood of the people of North and East Syria. But many of them, the international ones, have still remained without judgment because there is no support from this from the outside. But many times, the Turkish state is always trying to reorganize ISIS and to strengthen them to attack us once again.
Thank you. Ian Campbell has a question that you wish to speak, Ian.
Yes, thanks, John. So thank you, Bêrîvan. I'm so grateful for this. Your talk has been extremely informative. I wanted to ask, you mentioned this system. It sounds like the women co-chairs are elected internally by women, by collective bodies of women, as opposed to, it's not an individual thing, but it's a collective communal thing. And related to that, is it, am I understanding correctly that the when a woman is a co-chair, she's not necessarily acting on her own accord, but she's acting as kind of a spokesperson or in consultation constantly with the collective body of women. So I guess the point I'm making is it's not a, is it a kind of an individual, just a woman in leadership in each position, or is it more of a collective women's council supporting women at each level that there's a co-chair?
Now, when a woman is in this co-chair position, whether it's in a commune or in a civil society position, she always has two roles. Firstly, she has an autonomous role among the women, so she has the responsibility to educate women, to strengthen the women within her organization. And she has another role, which is on the general level to advance the co-chair system and to ensure that this organization works well according to its responsibilities and what it should do. So they're responsible to both.
Thank you. I'm assuming that we were scheduled for 1 hour, 15 minutes. I'm assuming that participants can go longer, and I'm perhaps aiming at another 15 minutes. If you have to go, please give your comments as you go. We have another question here. Is the co-chair system in place in the highest governing body like Parliament? And do you have a multi-party system in North and East Syria? And another question related, does it mean that co-chairs can be elected from different parties? How does that work? This is a question from Greta Shavisam.
It's an important question. If you were able to visit here one day, you will be able to see how this system works. We showed these images to you, and some of these were just of the local commune, but some of them were also of the overall council or the overall parliament of North and East Syria, or what we could call the umbrella council, which covers the whole system, which we call the autonomous administration of North and East Syria. And at this level 2, there is the co-chair system. Secondly, within the autonomous administration, to respond to your second question, there are many parties within the autonomous administration. And they have a quota according to how many people vote for them. They take up this many places within the autonomous administration, within its respective governing bodies, within its executive bodies, and within the local communes as well. At the same time, within the parties themselves, they have the same system. For example, within a municipality in my town, which is a town called Amuda, the people who are elected some were organized themselves as part of PYD. And so the PYD, the male co-chair is from the PYD party, the largest party, but the women representative is from another party called the Change Party, because they also received some votes. And so whoever receives the most support from the people, they are able to become the co-chairs.
Thank you. We have another question from Mira. She says, Syria within its civil war, how do Rojava responds?
It's true, we're a part of Syria. And the people of North and East Syria were able to begin this system within Syria. And at the same time, as this Syrian revolution began, then young men and women established self-defense forces. These are called YPG and YPJ, the People's Protection Units and Women's Protection Units. Syrian regime forces withdrew from our regions, and so these forces, which are now known as Syrian Democratic Forces, were able to expand to enter regions which were previously occupied by ISIS and take control of these regions. So ISIS had tried to attack us in a city called Kobani in 2014, but they were unable to defeat us. This was the first time that ISIS were defeated, and the Kurds became known at this time for their role in defeating ISIS. This was like ISIS's first defeat by a Kurdish force. And so after 2014, we established a multi-ethnic force called the Syrian Democratic Forces, joined by Kurds, joined by Arabs, joined by Christians and other minorities in the region. And they play a role together and liberated these regions from ISIS and established autonomy throughout a wide region of Syria.
Thank you. I have 2 more questions that I'm going to read here. That will conclude our questions. First, I received a question from John Therakan as a direct message to me. What is the name of your party and your role? How did you manage to convince political parties to accept the co-chair system?
So I'm a member of the Democratic Union Party, or PYD. I'm a member of that party, the largest party in northern Syria. And the PYD party is the one which oversaw the establishment of this system in northern East Syria. My role within this party is to spread this idea. And by playing a role in the system of the autonomous administration and seeing how we can better implement this ideology. How can we protect women? How can we protect children? How can we establish a cooperative economy? How can we establish a communal manner of life? How can we create equality between men and women? How can we spread this women's science that we discussed earlier? These are all tasks which are undertaken by us as members of the PYD in order to achieve a shared life, a joint life. And so, as the people of this region, we are always working together and coordinating together. When there's a political project and people see its success, they come to understand it, and people saw that this system was able to protect women, that women could play a leading role in it. And this contributed to raising the level throughout all of society. So we could try and remove discrimination against women altogether and create peace throughout all of society.
Thank you. And then the last question here is from Raviji. Do you follow the majority over minority of the democracy you have in elections?
Sorry, I don't understand the question. What does it mean, the majority of the
He's
minority?
asking, well, Raviji, do you want to explain it? Can you come on?
Okay. Thank you, Bêrîvan. You have given a very great explanation about the whole thing happening there. And we are inspired by the women's movement and the strength. Congratulations to you. At the same time, I would like to ask, like, you are following democracy. When you mean, what do you mean by democracy in your system? Like, do each individual, each person has got a say in making decision, or a larger group of people make decision over the rest of the people? That is majority and minority. That's what we call by, okay? Will you be able to explain, like, how do you come to decisions when it comes to making a decision?
It's a very important question. When we say democracy, by this we mean a system which enables people to follow their own will and to implement their own decisions. As such, this requires for all people from all parts of our society, from all races and all religions, to be able to make their voice heard, to express their will. And so we incorporate all of this into our process.
Wonderful. Extraordinary. Did you hear about neighborocracy or sociocracy that we follow here? Sorry for asking a second question without your permission.
No.
Thank you.
Shall I repeat again? What do you mean to say?
Repeat again, Raviji.
She hadn't heard of this herself, heard of this neighborocracy system before, unfortunately.
Please, I request you to please go through these sociocracy and neighborocracy which we follow here very successfully. It will be of a great, great help for your movement. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, I want to simultaneously have a closing.
She'll be happy to learn more about the nebureaucracy system.
Thank you. At this time, please leave comments of thanks and comments of what we might do next, or any other concluding thoughts like that in the chat. While we are collecting those comments, I invite Mr. Arul Sahayam, who is the Prime Minister of the PNPI, to propose a vote of thanks. So I turn it to you, Mr. Sahayam.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, John. Greetings to all of you from the desk of Provisional Nebureaucracy Parliament, India. Today has been yet another historical day when the sons and daughters of deeper democracy, civil democracy, co-chair system of governance, or sociocratic and nebureaucracy, meaning all the same. So really, once again, I congratulate all the sons and daughters of this system, governance from below. I take also this opportunity to thank all the actors of this historical day. I call it historical day. I mean it. Yes, we are all in the process of building World Forum for promotion of this sort of governance from below. Most of us are into some kind of a process where governance from below has been promoted. Especially, I would like to thank our main speaker, Bêrîvan Younis. Thank you very much for your wonderful and meaningful and realistic successes that you have shared with all of us. It's an eye-opening, and you have given us confidence that such a system of governance from below, about which we all have been dreaming, yes, you have increased our confidence. And I also would like to thank our founders of, maybe you can say, nebureaucracy, like John Beck, Joseph Rathan sir, Father Edwin, and most of the other leaders who are not with us, surely. So I thank for having sown the seed of a system which is going to bring heaven on earth. I also take special opportunity to thank our coordinator, Rojava team, Nushan Hussein, Northeast Syria, and our interpreter, translator, Mr. Matt. Thank you, sir, for your wonderful and patient and exact translation. Really, it was, we could understand. And also thank all the participants once again, and all those members of Provisional Nebureaucracy Parliament, India, and PNP of various states in India, and even various districts in India. All of you know that we have been spreading this concept since last 2-3 years, provisionally, in an organized way, dreaming that in few years time, in our country, we will have real parliaments and real multi-tier federated parliaments, national level. Thank you very much. Thank you all the participants. So wish you many more sittings like this, and we travel towards the fulfillment of our dream. Thank you. Over to Buck, John Buck.
Thank you, Mr. Sahayam, for this very complete expression for all of us of the thanks. And thank you to the interpreters also for making this possible. Thank you again. Echo what Mr. Sahayam said, Bêrîvan. Thank you very much for this presentation. So please take time to add your closing comments to finish them. Pritam, if we could stay online another minute or two, and then, but right now this is the conclusion of the session today. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you
Have
so
a good
much.
day. Goodbye.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jyoti, Pritam.
Thank you. Thank you, Auntie.
Jyoti has left.
No, she's here somewhere.
I am here. I'm very much here.
Yeah, thank you, Jyoti.
Yes. I'm cherishing the experience of Rojava, my dream come true. Yes.
Hello, Jyotima. Thank you all. Thank you,
Pritam.
Jyoti. Thank you, Pritam.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for attending.
Surely. Thank you. Thank
John
you.
Buck,
Yes.
thank you for the nice facilitation.
Yes. Yes.
Everything
well.
went smoothly.
I
Yeah.
am celebrating for all of us. We have had the wonderful experience of coordinating the United Nations side event. And here the team is back again, doing it again. So high five, team.
Yes.
Thank you, John. Thank you.
John, 2 more sessions we need to have. One with you, another one with the Corneras. Already fixing. One with you on sociocracy.
Okay, you're on.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
I look forward to that.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I missed who was supposed to stay on to chat after this meeting. So maybe y'all are
We-
having another.
We were letting everybody,
No,
go ahead, Pritam.
Yes.
yeah.
Thank
No,
you. Thank
we
you.
just have anyone to stay back. We're just keeping it open for people to put their comments, and we just, we just chit chat till then. Yeah.
Hey.
So, Pritam, I think we're done here. It looks like the stream of chats has come in. So perhaps we should conclude for today.
Okay. Thank you, John, so much for moderating the entire session. You did really well. Thank you so much. And
Thank you, Pritam and Jyoti, ma'am, and thank you so much, John, for such a wonderful session. It was really impressive.
thank you
Thank
so
you all
much.
for being back to say thanks to each other. Very much.
And also,
Goodbye for now.
bye, John.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
Big thanks to Edwin Anna for bringing everyone together. I don't see Edwin Anna. Where are you?
Is there
Yeah, I see two Edwin Annas. Yeah, there you.
mobile and
So you are the reason that we all come together here. All these different movements and different organizations. So
Very true.
Someday we will hear about
My
Mobo.
appreciation for your work coordination.
Okay, so we shall officially close the session then, yeah? Okay.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
Pritham.
Bye, Freedom.
Good night.
Bye-bye. Ian, it was nice to see you after so long.
Yes, good to see you too, Preetam. Good to see you, everybody. Hope
Bye-bye.
to see you again soon.
Ian, thank you for joining us today. Nice to see you.
My pleasure, Jyoti. Thank you. It's always good to see you or hear your voice or whatever I can get.
Regards to Rachel. Okay.
Thank you. Yes, I appreciate that. We'll see y'all soon.
Yep.
Yes, yes.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Bye-bye.